Hey, everybody, welcome to the Grimdark Breakdown. Tonight, we are going to be talking about the lovely Tyranids. Little play on words there because I think they're anything but lovely. But the bugs and how healthy are the consumers of the biomass. So I've got a dear friend with me here tonight. His name is Trevor. He has been playing Tyranids pretty much exclusively for 3 to 4 years now. Played in a couple of small tournaments and then went to the Texas Open with me here a couple months ago. And this is the only faction you play, correct?
Yeah. I've dabbled in Necrons, but when I say dabble, I mean we're talking a handful of games. Tyranids are my love. I will continue to collect them and buy them and comment on all your videos telling you that you're complaining about Tyranids too much.
They're a very cool army. You know, I
Yeah.
think Tyranids and orcs are like the definition of kit bash. Like they like it could be whatever, right?
Yeah, for sure. And honestly, Tyranid players and Orc players, our factions love each other. We love each other. We pair well together.
I would agree. All right, let's jump straight in. So damage output 7. So when we were talking, you kind of think that they're middle. They're not the top, but they're not struggling at damage. They're just kind of middle of the road.
Yeah, I think the new detachment, the Subterranean Assault, is a big factor in this. Rerolling ones to hit makes a huge difference. I mean, that's why the Exocrine has been such a perfect unit to take in almost every army, is because rerolling ones, it just helps so much.
Because it hits
with
on
our army.
3s normally.
Yeah, so the Exocrines and the Tyranifex are another big damage dealer. Both hit on 3s. They got heavy, so that's hitting on 2s, and then now we're rerolling 1s.
So worst case, it's a 33% damage increase. Best case, 50%.
Yeah, and stack that with everything else. All the Raveners, the new Raveners are hitting like a truck. Great in melee. With the reroll 1s, and then now twin linked with their new data sheets. I mean, we're not insane. There's a lot of people that hit harder than us, but I don't think it's anything to sneeze at. We do have some damage finally with the Synapse rework that happened later last year.
All right. Well, talking about damage, you can't have offense without defense, and defense, you actually think you're stronger on durability than you are on the offensive side.
I think so. I think a lot of people kind of underestimate the Tyranids defense. Most of our models are pretty tough. A lot of our monsters are sitting around 10 toughness, which, I mean, I know that's not crazy. There's a lot of vehicles that match that, but I mean, the Tyranifex is 12 and it can blanket damage, very similar to the Rogals, right? We have a lot of ways of either giving Feel No Pain or healing. Even our new detachment, we're able to heal mortals or bring back.
I noticed that the
other
night. You kept healing your what was it? Your Norn?
The Norn, yeah. I was using that to heal a D3 plus 1. It helps. Just keeping things in the tunnel markers. And we've had that even in Invasion Fleet. That was one of our best strategies was stacking Feel No Pains in our Synapse range. I think durability. We don't have any way to reduce damage. We suffer from things like not having smokescreen on a lot of our stuff, or any of the special stratagems.
Hashtag he's been bitter about grenade and smokescreen for 4 years.
That and our the vehicle stratagem as well.
Tank shock.
We don't have tank shock. We don't have any of these keywords, so we can't use it. Thank God I was so happy they gave Psychophage the smoke keywords. We have one unit that can use smoke. But no, as far as durability goes, I think we're actually a fairly durable army. Space Marines and stuff can win out. Armor of Contempt and things, but we do have a lot of in-bulls, and then the Feel No Pain. We're pretty durable.
Yep. So here's the funny one, and this anybody who's played Subterranean is going to think this is funny. He wanted this number to be lower, and I was like, do you know how many times you have 6-inch popped out of a hole and then charged me? No, you're not going to get lower than an 8 on mobility here.
So I do have an argument for this. Okay, as far as mobility goes, yes, Subterranean Assault, our mobility is skyrocketed. We are very mobile.
You're everywhere.
With Subterranean Assault, it's been a crutch, honestly, since it came out. Like, that's been such a good detachment. I really wish some of our other detachments could could benefit from something like that.
Yeah.
But outside of that, like I'm going to use Invasion Fleet, right? The most common detachment since our index detachment since the 10th edition came out. Most of our models are 8-inch move, and we don't have access to outside of the uh, uh, outside of our battle line units. We don't have like any advance and charge shenanigans.
But here's where you're spoiled. You're like, our average unit is 8. My average Sisters of Battle unit moves 6 inches and has, and I have a detachment that gives them assault, but other than that, it's 6 inches and that's it. You know,
Yeah.
a lot of armies, and if they're squats, they're going 5 inches. So some of those, so I think you'd be surprised. Even like World Eaters, who I consider a fast army, they move 8 or 10 inches. Like that's so like being like, oh yeah, the majority of the army moves 8. That makes it fast. Then when you turn into gophers, you go supersonic.
Well, and arguing for the mobility, we have had units that actually do have quite a bit of movement. Our gargoyles have a massive flat movement, then they have assault, and then when they shoot, they can move an additional 6 inches. That's crazy. We don't have access. Like, we have one transport unit, one, and it's a
yeah. That is weird that you don't have like the bugs
okay.
can't like latch on to other bugs or something.
Yeah. I mean, I guess technically we have a big man over here, the Harridan, that can carry some gargoyles, but you don't see this in tournaments very often.
All right. Real quick, we wanted to remind everybody, since we're talking about Tyranids, this is the perfect place to remind everyone, we do have the Love at First Bite Valentine's Tyranid giveaway. So $350 worth of Tyranids. We're going to quiz our lovely Tyranid player. Can you name the 3 models that we're giving away in this? I learned what they are. I'm curious if I can get you.
No. So we got 20 Hormagaunts here. We have 2 Psychophages and 5 Barbgaunts.
It's actually 40.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. Well, and then we got some Rippers that are included in there, but that's just included in the box. 40 Hormagaunts. Yeah.
Yep.
Wild.
All right. So all you
giveaway.
need to enter is any of our Meta Monday videos, which are all already out now for the month of February. Subscribe to the channel, like any of those videos, and comment Tyranid, and you are entered to win, and we will do the drawing on the first Meta Monday of March.
Yeah, I give you full permission. Completely harass Drake here and bother him with Tyranids. He's constantly giving us grief.
Listen, just because you're a bunch of cockroaches does not mean I've given you grief. But speaking of cockroaches, you guys know how to skitter into all the little corners and score. I agreed with this one 100%. I've never played a Tyranid player before that, like, I've played a bunch of Tyranid players and I beat them before. I've never had one that scored like 20 points where you just shut them down. Like, you could table them by turn 3 and they still score 60 points somehow.
Consistently. I have to give special props to I think the best unit in the game that has kept us scoring since the 10th edition came out. Special props to the Biovore. Best unit in the game. 50 points, spore mines everywhere.
Dude, I legit think if maybe we should do this at some point, like top 10 non-named like units in the game, it has to be top 3 for the points, the utility, the scoring, like all of the things. Like, so good.
And then add that to our Subterranean Assault. Now we're picking up models, placing them down all over the board. We got Infiltrate everywhere with our Lictors. Scoring ability has never been an issue. I think the only thing that can cause issues potentially is holding our primary objectives.
Yes.
Our durability, remember, is an 8. Like, we're tough, but we still could be taken down. And even my lovely Norn, my Norn emissary going on to the point, it sits there for a while, but ultimately it's going to be taken down. And so I can't give it a full. We split this into primary and secondary. I can't give the primary full 5. I think a 4 on the primary, but secondaries we've never had issues scoring secondaries.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. And like the last game Trevor and I played, as soon as I saw his Norn, one of the weaknesses I think to Tyranids is if you've played them and you know how they work, you have to beat them to the point, or you've got to out OC them, because by the time once they get stuck in, then you have to spend 2 turns just digging them out, like to Trevor's point. But like the last game we played, Trevor actually won, but I was able to throw a wrench because I saw his Norn and I was able to charge, and I kept his Norn from getting to the point till like turn 4, right?
Yeah.
And so like one of the things
big issue
that I is maybe their only weakness in scoring is if you can kind of screen them off of the points, they can sometimes struggle to do primary at that point.
Yeah, and I mean our battle line's got 2 OCs, and
Sure.
not to mention we have some of the best battle shock resistance as long as we can stay in synapse.
Did you fail battle shock last time we played?
1 of 2 I have ever failed.
He rolled a 1, and a 2. And
Yep.
by the way, I did say right before I go, hey, do you want to just spend 1 command point and auto pass? And he looked at me like, he rolled those dice, and I was like,
I know, I talked trash and learned that the reroll stratagem cannot be used on that because there's the insane bravery stratagem that can be used. So it was good. One of 2 I have ever lost in the entire time that I've been playing Tyranids. Yeah, wild. But with that said, for the most part, outside of the
Subterranean Assault.
For the most part, outside of the rare game where we may fail 1 battle shock,
Sure.
It's very hard for us to fail battle shock tests. And we have 2 OC on our battle line. The issue is our battle line just melts like butter. We have a 5 up save with no invuls, 3 toughness. We have nothing to keep it on. The only thing that helps is those healing stratagems that we have that can bring back some battle lines. So yeah, no, overall, I think a 9 fits Tyranids really well in the scoring.
So this one is going to be very interesting. Internal balance. So when we've done this for Guard, I think it was the episode that got released today. I did Emperor's Children a few days ago, and a lot of their internal balance was based on the range size. Tyranids have a very healthy range, but at least in my opinion, a lot of that range is completely irrelevant. Like your data sheets aren't that great, so you need good rules to help. And my reason that I don't think that they're very balanced is because you really have like one detachment that's good, another one that's okay, but if 1 or 2 key data sheets got touched in the wrong place by the wrong GW employee, all of a sudden you'd be in Eldari territory winning 30% of your games.
Yeah, I mean, I think the perfect example of that was when GW targeted Astra Militarum for regenerating whole squads of infantry. We got swept into that, and our Unending Swarm detachment has not been able to perform since. Yeah, I mean, Subterranean Assault has been really carrying us. I still think Invasion Fleet is a solid detachment, especially for newer players getting into it, because you just have an answer to a lot of things. But outside of those 2, I mean, I'm not saying you can't do well with Assimilation Swarm and Crusher Stampede, but like I haven't seen Synaptic Nexus in forever, and
I don't even know what that one is.
Unending Swarm, yeah. You're not seeing it anymore at all. So yeah, between the lack of playability competitively of our detachments, and just we have some models that are really good, but I mean you keep seeing the same. I mean you keep seeing Exocrines, Tyrannifex, you keep seeing our battle line, Hive Tyrant. Now Raveners are giving us a little bit of variety. But yeah, no, I think a 6. We need a little bit of love on some of our models. I don't think it's just points.
My actual, and I don't think you'll get it until 11th edition, but that's right around the corner.
So.
My honest, real hope is I feel like both you and Orcs are suffering from being early in the edition. I mean, you guys were the second codex, and your data sheets just don't hold up like they did. Like you guys should be big scary monsters, and they're just not. And so I think that whether they need to ramp up your damage a little bit or they need to ramp up your durability, one of the 2, in my opinion, needs to be tuned up. Because the problem is that when you're relying on one detachment's tricks to keep your army alive, you're one data slate from being a 30% win rate army.
Yeah, yeah. Honestly, and we saw this, right? The small tweak that we had, the +1 strength in melee being in Synapse, that happened last year. That was a huge change for the Tyranids. Just the +1 strength. So I really don't think it's much. We've seen Tyranids floating right around 50% for forever. So I think we're okay. But if we're wanting to get the full access of this range, we need some love on some of our models.
So, hot take, I think that the easiest thing that they could do to make you guys an absolutely relevant army is Shadow in the Warp. Has to be done at -2.
Yeah, and not through shenanigans. We've got some things that can help to make it harder, but honestly, just Battle Shock itself has not been
The
as good of a rule as GW wanted it.
the problem is that so much of the so much of the game has a 6 or a 7, and so they either have a 55% chance to pass it or a 50%, like, and the key unit, they're just gonna insane bravery anyway to make sure they get it. If all of a sudden you had to do it at -2, so you gotta save 2 dice on a 9, now, as a Tyranid player, you could control a little urgency, and there might be a real play of being like, oh, okay, he came out and he's on 3 points on turn 2. I'm just going to play Murder Ball and kill him, and then Shadow on the Warp on 3. And he can Insane Bravery 1, but statistics would say that I'm going to probably flip a couple of the other points.
No,
And
that's actually let me stop you there. So fun fact for our Tyranid players, Insane Bravery happens after the Shadow in the
oh,
Warp.
okay,
So that's a really fun FAQ that I think a lot of people don't quite understand. Shadow in the Warp happens before the Battle Shock test.
there you go.
Now, when we Shadow in the Warp, they can't do another Battle Shock test because they're half wounds,
Sure.
right? That it's not doubled, but we can trigger it before being able to use the Insane Bravery. So for our Tyranid players, just remember that. Always good to use that. But I mean, even then, I just don't
The
think Battle
chances aren't
Shock
great,
is.
but I just think if it had a negative modifier of like, it's -1, and if you're within 12 inches of a Tyranid unit, it's -2 or something, then there'd be a higher chance that people would actually fail. Because you've shadowed in the warped me 100 times, and I don't even use shenanigans. I'm just like, okay, 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 and most of the time it doesn't matter. And
Yeah.
so it sucks for an army rule to not, like, the best way I could describe it is like, without going on a giant tangent, a lot of the Space Marine chapters don't need Oath of Moment. Like Dark Angels don't need Oath of Moment. Half the army hits on 2s, and when they're near the lion, they re-roll 1s anyway. So like it isn't necessary to have that rule. Blood Angels are the same way. So like when you have an army rule that just doesn't really do a lot for you, it kind of feels real bleh.
Yeah, yeah, and we felt that for the longest time. With our only access to the army rule was a Battle Shock test. The +1 strength in melee changed a lot of things, and I think it's small tweaks like that that can really bring up Tyranids without causing them to be broken.
Completely agree. All right, skill ceiling 6. So just to remind everybody how we kind of rate this is we break it into 2 categories. 5 points are how easy is it for a new player to go to a tournament and go 3-3? And then the other 5 is how easy is it for them to go from that 3-3 to like 5-1, so to speak, getting to those top tables. Um, and I think we both agreed on this kind of scoring.
Yeah, I love Tyranids, but they are not necessarily an easy army to play. They look amazing. They are fun to play, but I think the skill ceiling's a little high. Jumping into them, there's a lot of rules that you're not going to be quite familiar with. We don't have access to a lot of the core stratagems like the rest of the armies, right? We don't we can't really stat check with Catan or with Knights or
Mhm.
things like that. Like there's not an easy pathway in to consistently get new players in 3v3. And then opposite, making sure that we're consistently winning, that's also very hard. A lot of times when the Tyranid player is coming across, it's an uphill battle. We win by scoring. We don't win by killing. We don't even win by surviving most of the time. We win by scoring, and being able to really focus on that and learn how to keep our stuff alive and score enough points, even if we're not going to be able to survive through round 5, I think is a really, it's a difficult thing to learn. So I think a 6 fits Tyranids pretty well.
Yeah, I think this kind of goes to what we were just talking about. Like a lot of your data sheets are underpowered, like stat for stat against your 150-point shooting platform is going to be weaker than most other factions' 150-point shooting platform.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you have to
And we feel that a
understand.
lot. You look at the model himself and you think it's a really good model. The Norn it looks on paper, it looks like a really good model, but it's also a lot of points. It's taking a big chunk of your army. And then if you don't roll them invul saves, we can't entirely rely on feel no pains. I mean, when we're going against enemies that are doing flat 6 damage per attack, like it just the Norn can't stay alive uh, long enough. The models are really fun to play, and I think you can do really good. That's why Tyranids have maintained about a 50% win rate, but it doesn't make it easy.
Does not. So talking about the big 4 here. So just as a reminder, we look at the general meta. You can get up to 6 points of how do you measure against the general meta. And then since these are the big 4 that are winning so much right now, how do you measure up against these? And we both immediately gave the same score against these 4 and against the rest of the meta.
Yeah, I mean, we look at any of these and they're tough matchups. I think our best one is with Thousand Suns. Um, I think we can match up with our invul saves. But I mean, let's take Necrons, right? Necrons, the models are ridiculously tough, and we don't have the damage output with to be able to take out the Catan, and then also the infantry that keeps healing. Like it's ridiculously tough. Ultramarines, the armor of contempt on top of two base saves, just make it really difficult to take them down. And then Astra Militarum, um, our AP is good, but they also have really good base saves and really high toughness. We can punch up, but we don't have the number of shots. We don't have quite the damage.
3 Rogals at T12, 2 base save, blanket damage, and 18 wounds.
Yeah, and then compare that with our Tyrannifex, right? So same thing. We have a 2 base save, 12 toughness, 16 wounds. We can blanket damage, but we have most everybody's running Rupture Cannon, right? That's 2 shots at strength 18, AP4, D6 plus 6 damage. It's great, but it's 2 shots. Compare that to the entire weapon data sheet that their Rogel Dorn has on top of that. It's just we're fighting up an uphill battle.
Yeah, and the problem is they're not like the Rogel is more points, but it isn't like how many points is Tyranifax?
200 points. Thank God they brought that down.
Yeah, so the Rogel's 240. So for 40 points more, you would 100% go, okay, I'll lose the 2 giant guns that my bug has for the, what is it, 4 Meltas and the like 6 bolters, which are great for trash. And then like their oppressor is like strength 14. And while it's only like, I think it's D6 damage or maybe it's D3 or something like that, it's still like D6 plus 3 shots.
Yeah, I would gladly pay 40 more points for that many more weapons.
And has access
we
to
do
smoke.
Yeah. Oh God. Don't get me on that again. We have access to Stinger salvos with the Tyrannifex, so we do have like 1 extra weapon, but it's 8 shots. It has no AP. It's 1 damage apiece.
Yeah.
It's really hard to rely on that.
Yeah.
Any of these matchups, it's a tough matchup for sure.
So consistency. When we think of consistency, just as a reminder for folks, what we're talking about is you got to keep in mind there's 8 different terrain layouts. There are, if my memory serves me correct, 6 different missions that you could get. And then there are, I believe, 6 different deployments. So you start mixing and matching. I like to look at consistency as like, is your army good kind of across the board into just about any army, or does it struggle against all of a sudden melee or all of a sudden shooting or all of a sudden something else?
Yeah, we run really good balance lists. The Tyranids do. I think we have some answers, but just like I've said before, it's an uphill battle with a lot of armies that we're fighting. And then to top that off, we see we can see a difference. We can score consistently 60 points, right? Even standard players that at least know what they're doing, not the best pilots. We can score efficiently, but then our models aren't staying alive. Our 60 points is going up against someone that scored 80, 90 points. So it's just, we're hitting 50% pretty well, and we've been at 50% for a long time. It'd be nice to see some change there.
So what does it all boil down to? A 6.9. So you guys are just close to getting to that passing score. What are your final thoughts?
Yeah. I'm excited to see what 11th edition has in store. For half of 10th edition, we were relying on fixed missions in our Biobor winning games. We're seeing some positive change in the latter half of 10th edition with the synapse change and with the Subterranean Assault. But we're taking those wins with some extra hurt. Our other detachments need some love. Our models, we don't just need point reductions. We need small changes to make big differences. Excited to see what 11th edition will come into. I think we're going to be consistently right around that 50% through the end of 10th.
Yeah. My biggest hope is there are some factions where I'm like, just don't mech it up. They have a great army rule. I honestly hope they throw yours in the bin and just start over. When we saw 9th go into 10th, some armies fundamentally played the same way. They obviously got a new spin, this, that, and the other. I think there's some that have really good rules. I think there's some that have good rules, but they should still throw them in the bin. I think you guys have a crap rule on a crap system that just never was developed, and I hope they throw the whole thing in the bin and just give you guys something fresh next edition.
Yeah, my only ask, GW, if you're listening to this, please don't get rid of our big models. Just please give them a little bit of love, make them playable. The Harridan, please. The Bio Titan. We love our big monsters. Don't take them away.
I would actually go a step further, and I understand that they don't want to be in the business of selling resin models anymore. It's very clear. But collectors and fans, we're not talking. You got to keep in mind, GW, that the uber competitive players are this much. Most of them are like us. Sure, would we love to win a tournament? Yeah, absolutely. Do we want to go try to do our best? But we also are collecting and we want to go play with our cool toys. And that big centerpiece model is something that everybody wants in their army. Harridan's a perfect example. Like let people have their big models and don't just do them away. Do away with them.
Yeah.
And come out with more new ones.
Even in competitive stances, I've never had someone be upset that a dragon is on the battlefield.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just a freaking cool model.
All right. Well, thanks everybody for tuning in. Hopefully you enjoyed this. This is a series we're going to continue on doing. And then after the data slate, once we kind of get in the middle of the data slate, we'll do it again to let you guys know how each faction's going through. I'm trying to bring in people that play every faction, so it's not just my one-sided opinion. So hopefully you enjoy our guests as they come in. Thank you very much for joining us, Trevor. I really appreciate the insight, and we will see you guys in the next one. Thanks, y'all.
Thanks for having me.